And here we go, guys. Tree versus Trokamoo. Tree hasn't even played a match this season.
So we saw the Stone Star League earlier, but what's lower than Stone Star League is the Placement League. So that's where Tree's at right now. Clearly probably has done his homework in the prep phase. Earlier we saw messages from DJ Bizzle and from Lucky God there. So hopefully they're giving the luck to their players, rooting them on here. Trokamoo at 1594 clearly has not played on the ladder very much this season, so we see some very interesting pre-bans here, Sierra and Artemel. Artemel's a little bit interesting of a pre-ban from Trokamoo.
Yeah, curious to see why. We may see as this draft progresses. Tree with the Chiwu and Gani, Trokamoo with the Hathor, of course. We're splitting the Gani Hathor like always.
Very interesting to take that Chiwu off the bat from Tree and no hesitation, right? So we know that Tree has done his homework when you lay something down like that instantly here. Trokamoo fumbled with the Oki here, but he realizes Oki may actually leave him open to some sort of Vigor, Ileana's turn to Molly type plays here that we're seeing. Molly, Juno, very predictable. Tree does lack a lot of burst though and has no immunity, so Trokamoo should use this window to win his match here.
Yep, Molly Juno coming out for Tree. Trokamoo looking at double water. Going to be possibly drafting that Barbara. Vigor takes the Barbara back. He might be locking it in now.
Yeah, that Barbara needs to be on Violent if he's going to draft it this way, because Molly is a lot of healing, lots of threat, and at the same time, Trokamoo doesn't really have a solid heal on his team minus that Vigor. Tree instantly goes to that Nephthys. Nephthys is a very difficult unit to deal with. If I'm Trokamoo, I don't think I can ban that Nephthys because there's so much healing from the Molly. Decides to go after it anyways, but he might very well be out healed here. Vigor does throw up buffs, but Juno counters that. So there's a little bit of rock, paper, scissors of when you throw up the buffs, when you don't. Trokamoo also is not representing a lot of burst here, and that could be his downfall. It depends on how squishy that Chiwu and Juno are from Tree's side.
Yep, might be war of attrition for Tree. He does have a lot of sustain. Can Trokamoo get through that? We're going to find out. Is the Molly going to prevail for Tree once again? And here we go. This is going to be round one between Tree and Trokamoo. Tree with first turn, looking for a full team strip attack bar pushback, not landing it on top of the Vanessa. Ganymede looking for a reset.
And that's an incredibly fast Chiwu, outspeeding a Vanessa speed-led Okeanos here. So Tree definitely has great runes, but again, look to see where Trokamoo can lay in some bursts to take out either that Chiwu or Juno. He's going to need a poke around to figure out what's squishy, but that's what Trokamoo needs to do.
That's right. That reset did land on the Hathor. Hathor's not going to have any skills up here. Juno with the Despair Stun coming out on Okeanos, and he used Trokamoo was looking for that defense break on Chiwu, not receiving it though. And
that's a ton of damage at Okeanos, already under half health here. And Tree doing a ton of damage at Juno, definitely on additional damage artifacts.
That's right, so Vigor has no choice but to heal up at this point. He can't buff up that Okeanos though.
Can't buff it up, but at least can heal it. But again, that Juno's going to be able to wear it down. That's a lot of damage. Watch to see how much damage Juno does, because at this point, Tree doesn't really... He's going to strip the team here, but that does a lot of damage. This Juno does so much.
Let's see if we're going to see any Despair Stuns coming out of Tree. Goes for just a single target on the Okeanos. Gets Despair Stun as well.
Decides that he's not really under a lot of pressure, so he doesn't need to strip off that speed buff and wants to go after damage and be able to take out one unit from Trokamoo.
Trokamoo realizing the threat, hoping for that additional turn coming out of Vigor. Does land that 3-turn defense break on top of that Juno.
Yeah, very good evaluation from Trokamoo, realizing that Juno's probably on crit damage. Doesn't matter though, defense break is gone here. So now again, Tree's at full health again. Trokamoo doesn't have a way to burst it down.
That's right. We have this Molly, just the incredible sustain coming at, a little bit of poke damage coming towards Okeanos' way. Looking for an attack break on Chiwu, not receiving it here.
Trokamoo is 2 turns away from using skill 3 on Vigor here, and 1 more turn away from using skill 2 on Vanessa. That Juno is doing work.
Despair Revenge Juno, might I add. It revenged back onto that Vanessa. We're going to see a skill 2 coming out onto the Vigor. He wants to stop these buffs coming up on him, and it does land.
Yeah, and again, that Gani with that skill 3 resets that Vanessa. This Okeanos is going to go down here, and Trokamoo's not going to be able to cycle speed on the Vigor, which means he's not going to get enough speed over the course of the game, and he's going to slowly be worn down by Tree and his Molly.
Yep, that's right. I mean, Trokamoo 100% on the back foot after losing this Okeanos. You know, that's a lot of damage that he's missing out on. It's going to be tough to build up this sustain to stop Tree. He needs to be landing. He needs these additional turns. He needs to capitalize off some defense breaks. He's going to need a little bit of luck here to overcome Tree.
he's going to need more than just a little bit of luck, because right now what he needs to do is take out this Juno, which is the damage dealer of Tree. But this Juno is just not really taking any damage, and Trokamoo doesn't have a way to burst it down with the Vanessa there.
That's right, a little bit of poke damage coming towards this Vanessa again. I mean, possibly looking to reventilate back onto the Maul. He just wants to get that shield back up there.
Yeah, at this point here, Tree knows that he just needs to out-sustain Trokamoo because Vigor's not a lot of healing. Missing that defense break is giant.
On a fire unit, might I add. Missed the defense break onto the Juno. He's going to go for some poke damage, just get that heal block onto the Chiwu. Trying to pummel more damage. You can see how big those heals are on Molly.
Yeah, pretty big, and at the same time, you look at the attack bars, Tree is going to take entire turns. He's at full health again. Trokamoo needs to line up some sort of burst, but that window is shrinking. His health is going down. That's as the game goes on, that's a lot of damage he's taking.
Yep, it really is. Trokamoo's running out of time here. We're going to see this third skill finally coming out with Hathor. Does it land on everybody? It doesn't land on the Chiwu, and we all know that Juno's going to be cleansing itself.
Yeah, and Trokamoo does need to go for damage on that Juno right now, because at the same, Juno's going to wake up anyway, so he needs to go for the Juno. Juno is the aggressive unit, chooses to go after Chiwu here.
Does get the additional turn, though, removing Chiwu from the field. It's maybe a little bit of saving grace for Trokamoo. He needs anything he can get his hands onto right now.
Definitely a saving grace, but if this Juno taking revenge, moves up in attack bar.
Yep, I think he's going to go for, chooses just to go with the first skill, not wanting to chance that violent proc, capitalizing off that defense break. We get a proc coming out of the Molly putting a shield up onto the Ganny.
Yeah, chooses not to use it there because he's trying to line up a window to kill that Juno, because Juno shakes off debuffs when it gets a turn. But again, so much attack bar manipulation from Tree side. I mean, Trokamoo's not going to be able to get another turn.
Yep, there it is. Juno finishing off that Vanessa. The sustain, the damage is gone from Trokamoo. He's just not going to have enough to make up for it. The Molly's just way too oppressive with this passive.
The Molly's too oppressive, the Juno does too much damage, and Trokamoo does not have enough burst. That is a recipe for losing a game here. And so Trokamoo's basically should be taking his time to think about how he should draft better the next game, because Tree showed total dominance in this one.
That's right, Hathor landing these the sleeps here, and you could tell Tree is not worried about this Hathor whatsoever. He's going for his resets, he's keeping the vigor down. He's not allowing him to get that second skill to get that kind of sustain.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Tree right now, he's smiling, he's tilting his neck, he's enjoying this right now. He knows he's got this.
Looking for an additional turn. He did get the additional turn and does drop the Juno, but this is still technically not over. Technically not over at this point. He's going to need a little bit of RNG and a little bit of control and things to work out for him, but we'll see as this progresses.
Technically not over. That Vigor did get a giant proc, but again, it's going to need a proc every single time here. Ganymede does do a lot of damage onto a Vigor at this point.
Does get that defense break on to the Molly. Reset comes out, does land on top of Vigor, of course, dumping attack bars on the whole team.
Yeah, but at the same time, again, Trokamoo is going to need a proc on that Vigor at some point.
There's that proc coming out of Gandy, finishing off that Vigor, and that is going to be it for Trokamoo. And you could see him shaking his head. He knew that was going to be it. Second Vigor drop. Valiant effort for the kind of sustain that Tree was rocking here. And there you have it, Tree taking round one away from Trokamoo.
What a draft from Tree. I really thought at this point, what it came down to was Trokamoo overextending a bit with that Hathor, that Okeanos, allowing Tree to go straight up turn 2 play here. I think Tree managed that very well. And knew that Trokamoo didn't have enough burst, so a crit damage Juno is very, very good in that situation. I noticed Trokamoo was shaking his head there, clearly not happy with this situation, but every round's a new game, so he's going to need to be able to show some fortitude and come back from this deficit here.
Yep, most definitely. Tree, very comfortable with the amount of sustain that he had. I think we can see a very different draft going into this round 2. I'm not sure we're going to see this Molly Vigor, or I'm sorry, just this Molly team coming from Tree. I think he's going to possibly throw him a curveball. If you end up bringing back this Molly, this Trokamoo might be able to get a victory out of it.
Yeah, we'll see here. Tree does like that Molly a lot. Again, he likes violent matches that are very consistent, very slow, because he thinks that those are more favorable. It favors the better decision making over time. So that's his style. I wouldn't be surprised to see more Molly, but we'll see. We'll figure it out in the first 3 picks here. So Tree's likely going to take a Hathor or a Ganny first pick here.
Yeah, very predictable pre-bans. The Gianna and the Neft is getting pre-banned out here. Hathor being drafted by Tree. And we've got Trokamoo looking to respond, possibly splitting that Ganny and taking that away from Tree.
Yeah, so Trokamoo should go Ganny Sierra here. Instead, goes for Ganny Oki. The Sierra and Ganny would be very good in a Molly and dissuade a Molly pick, and Sierra's very good in many situations. Instead, opts for the Ganny Oki, which makes him still weak to Molly type teams. But so Tree has the option of either going Chiwu outspeed and just go for control, Chung Pungs and whatnot, or can go slower with Molly's, Vigors. Chooses right now to go with the Chiwu, and the second pick is going to be very telling of the style of this draft.
Well, it's a very interesting style of draft when you're going to be bringing a beta out this early.
Yeah, it's a very interesting because at this point, Tree doesn't have a lot of damage on the field here. So he opens himself up to being verded, being mollied, but at the same time, if a verd comes on the field, Tree also knows he has an Artemill in the back pocket. So that's probably why he drafted so low damage. But if I'm Trokamoo, I'm looking for Sierras, I'm looking for damage. Daphnis is an okay pick here, but it does play into that Chiwu a little bit, but I was hoping to see a little bit more damage from Trokamoo sustained over time.
Yeah, Trokamoo doesn't have any defense breaks on this field. Ada looking very, very good if Tree's going to draft him here.
I think an Artemill would be incredibly strong because Trokamoo does not have damage over time or great sustain over time. So some sort of Artemill mixed with one more Han. Okay, I did not know that Tree had a Han, but a Han and an Artemill would probably seal the deal here.
Ooh, we're going to see a Praha coming out. I love seeing the Praha because this unit was buffed, and I am loving this Praha.
All right, so Tree saying that he's going to reinvent himself really does take a very different style of unit here. Interesting pick here. I do like the Praha pick with the additional damage. It is interesting to note that Praha and Hathor have dysynergies with dots come up from the Praha. Things don't sleep as long. So there's a little bit of that going on there. Trokamoo just needs to be able to abuse that somehow.
I do like the Josephine coming out here. I have a feeling Tree was predicting the Hathor ban, bringing in that Praha, and brought the Josephine in to cover his back here, but Ban's coming out on the damage dealer. He's going to be removing from the Han from the field. Josephine getting banned on Trokamoo's side of the field.
Draft-wise, this favors Tree a lot because you know that Chu was going first. Trokamoo's going to eat a full team sleep, and some unit, a Daphnis, usually is quite squishy, is going to die from Praha doing a lot of damage.
We can see the nerves coming into this match, and here we go, guys. Tree, Trokamoo. Are we going to see another 2-0, or can Trok hold on? First turns coming from Tree. We've got Beta buffing up.
Yeah, and you see Praha's lower in speed, meaning it's violent, meaning it's going to do a lot more damage. That Daphnis is so squishy. He's going to be eating a full team sleep here.
Doesn't get the Ganny, though. Ganny still remains with that immunity, but still, full team sleep should be coming out.
Full team sleep is a very big deal here. That Praha, again, will do a lot of damage, and you see how squishy that Daphnis is already at 2/3 health.
Daily Promise does not land on the Okeanos. I'm not sure it's going to matter too much. We're going to see this focus coming out onto Okeanos from this Praha. I would imagine it's on a crit rate build, able to cycle a little bit of attack bar. No! Choosing to go with a skill 3 to put that Okeanos down.
Interesting investment of skills there, choosing to go after that Oki, but I guess he values not being stunned, but having his entire team stunned there.
Yep, Ganymede going for the reset onto the Beta. Beta's not going to have any skills coming up here.
Yeah, but at the same time here, it's interesting. I mean, this Praha is not going to be able to do much for a little while, so that Hathor just used skill 3, so once Trokamoo gets online, he could be in a decent spot.
No, Hathor possibly looking to put this Ganny down, not allowing to cycle only turns. No, choosing to go for an attack break onto the Okeanos, not landing it though.
Yeah, but Trokamoo now has a Ganny Oki lockdown with skills up, so I actually really like Traka's position.
Rain of Stones only lands on the Hathor and the Chiwu. You can see that cycling attack bar with the additional turns as well onto this Okeanos. Okeanos looking a little low right now.
It's actually a good amount of damage here, but at the same time, I mean, Trokamoo does have control.
Ooh, and there you go. France coming back. We get that additional turn. Immunity attack boost coming up, healing up that Okeanos, which is what he really needed.
Yeah, healing up that Okeanos. That Okeanos quite tanky, actually. I would usually expect him to melt a lot faster. Trokamoo does have Ganny Oki lockdown. Skills are down on that Praha.
That's right. Ventilate goes back onto the Okeanos. He's going to try and lock down Tree's team here with a Rain of Stones. Looking to get everybody. Can someone resist the stun? We get a double resist coming out of Praha and the Beta.
Wow, that Okeanos not landing very much. Usually you see that Okeanos landing everything. So Trokamoo being really unlucky here. He should be winning this game, but it's kind of back and forth. He does have a Daphnis coming up, though.
But does get that heal and additional turn coming out. Unit of focus right now is the Beta. Goes to the Hellfire, finishes off that Beta. Things are looking very good for Trokamoo right now. He does have this reset. He might be putting this reset to stop the Praha.
Definitely does, and Ganny has skill 3 next, so once units from Tree side go, Ganny's going to be able to wipe attack bars, and that's another Ganny Oki lockdown here. So if I'm Tree, I'm thinking about game 3 here.
Yep, Chiwu looking to strip that shield, does so. Hathor trying to put this Fran down, does land the sleep, but the additional turn coming out of Fran once again. Glancing sitting on top of Praha. Praha's not going to be boosting up this attack bar with the skill 1.
Yeah, Tree's going to need a lot of procs here, and even a lot of procs is not going to save him. Does get one proc,
Does get the additional turn out of the glancing, cycling so much attack bar. You can see it's just around that 50% area right now. Overwhelmed coming out, landing on top of everyone. Okeanos looking to deal some damage to this almost dead Chiwu. Finishing off that Chiwu. Resets coming out onto the Hathor, dumping attack bars, getting additional turns as well. Ventilate back onto the Okeanos. Things are looking very good for Trokamoo.
Looking very good for Trokamoo. We're going to see a game 3 here. Super exciting stuff.
There there's our first Game 3 Trokamoo taking round 2 away from Tree.
Tree's so well-mannered, even in defeat, is smiling there, probably thinking about maybe a mistake he made or some other way he could have drafted. I actually think Tree should have had that, but what actually happened is this Chiwu didn't get the entire, all the strips, right? So he had to make choices. That Gani still had immunity, and then he didn't get that Okeanos. Had he put that whole team to sleep, he would have been able to pick off that Daphnis. Unfortunately, this is the game called Summoner's War. That's what we play. Resists and procs are a thing, and Choka was able to take that, and that's why we have a Game 3 here.
Yep, that's right. A lot of additional turns coming out of Trokamoo. He needed it. He got it. That Fran ended up being the unit that he really needed. That double reset, very oppressive. He had it a little bit unlucky with that Okeanos not landing those Rain of Stones, but well done, Trokamoo.
Well done. So we're going to see what we have in Game 3 here. I would like to see more of the patented Trokamoo, Savannahs, and other types of play coming from him, but we haven't right now. We've seen a little bit more of a sit-back type of style, and that's actually not very characteristic from what I'm used to seeing from Trokamoo. You see he's breathing, big sigh there, kind of relaxing himself. Both players are stressed. This could be experience coming into play here.
They may be stressed, but I don't see a drop of sweat on that glistening head. We're going to see us going through this round 3.
And we see that Artemel pre-ban and the Sierra pre-ban from Tree. Trokamoo obviously going to take that Hathor first pick here. Tree's going to respond probably with some sort of a Gani.
Oh, here we go. First pick coming out of Trokamoo. It's going to be a unit he's taken away from Tree. We see the Hathor's coming out. Tree's going to be splitting that Gani, drafting the Chiwu with it as well.
And Troka does need to be able to fight for that turn 1. I mean, that first game he got kind of controlled, but will fight for turn 1, but at the same time leave him the ability to play turn 2. He got out-handled by a Juno Molly last time, so he needs to be able to play in some sort of damage earlier in his draft. Not so much Okeanos. Okeanos is okay because he's paired it with a Vigor, which allows him to have damage with that defense break and heal. So I think this is perfectly fine here. Tree is going to have to pivot because Molly is not very good into Vigor.
No,
Molly gets
all.
outpaced by that speed buff. So definitely Molly's off the field here. We might see Josephine's. Nephthys is always great. It's an LD monster, one of the best in the game. So can't go wrong with a Nephthys if that gets off. I mean, it's very dominating. And Juno.
And drafts to Juno as well. I think Trokamoo is setting himself up to be very aggressive. I think these last 2 picks can be some high dealing damage dealers coming from Trokamoo. I think so.
And if I'm Trokamoo looking at this draft here, I'm looking to take out Chiwu or the Nephthys, because once that Nephthys organic gets off, it's very tough to come back. If you eliminate the Chiwu or the Nephthys, you have a good spot here. Trokamoo is going to need to pump in some damage in order to do so here. Time's running out though, so he goes with the Barbara. I'm not sure about this Fran pick. If he goes Fran, he is telegraphing a ban on the Chiwu, so Tree can play accordingly. Maybe some sort of a Diana or some sort of even a Leo would be quite interesting to be able. A Leo would be a great pick actually, because Vigor and Barbara aren't very good, and that becomes a force ban. You never lock yourself into force ban. That's exactly what Trokamoo has done. So a Leo would probably have won Tree the game here, but instead goes with that Praha.
Interesting, bringing the Praha in. I think that says he's going to be letting that Fran through. He wants to have that extra strip as well. Curious what the bands are going to be coming out here.
Definitely the Barbara, because the Barbara is the source of damage, or the burst, I would say. And Praha, pick on the Praha means that Vigor and Fran are both staying in the game here. So Tree is going to be able to open up. You know his Chi was very fast with resets, and he's going to be looking to take out this Oki. We know the Oki's tanky, so we'll see how the Vile procs end up on this one.
That's right. So there's no Molly being paired up with Tree's side of the field this time with that Molly Juno. We have a Praha Juno this time. So I'm curious, is that going to be enough sustain? Is Trokamoo going to take this one? We're going to find out. And we have Tree taking first turn. Chiwu getting that, not the full strip, not getting it on this Fran, which is very important.
A pretty big resist on the Fran, but at the same time, there are 2 AoE strippers of Juno and Praha, so Trokamoo does have to proceed with caution.
Yep, trying to take advantage of that fire unit on the other side of the field, allowing Praha to cycle more attack bar. He's choosing whether to buff up right now because he knows that Juno can strip.
And I think he has to do it there because he needs to force out the strips. Instead does not, but he's going to get pummeled over time. Needed to do that because now he's going to sleep.
That's right, put him to sleep. And that was great that he has this unit on Revenge. You can see how much attack bar it generated with first skill. It revenged and immediately pushed itself in front of the others.
Yeah, so Trokamoo actually in a lot of trouble. Will need a couple of procs here, not just one, in order to come back, because Tree is pummeling in a lot of damage. These Oracles gain attack bar on skill 1. It's a lot of damage coming out.
Yep, there's that Ventilate back onto the Praha. We can see the additional turn coming out of Vigor. Does go with that skill 2 to heal up. We're going to see that strip coming out of this Juno.
Yeah, and has to force that strip out of Juno, because if he resists, he's okay.
A full strip though, and we can see Praha's going to be using that skill 3 to put everybody down once again.
And does not get it on the Hathor, but doesn't matter. Hathor is on cooldown, but again, did proc there, so skill 2 is up next.
Yep, skill. Oh, but Juno puts a stop to that, getting a 2-turn sleep from skill 1.
Yeah, but Trokamoo does have Rain of Stones coming online. That is going to be quite a bit of damage here. And Trokamoo, again, does have that. Once that Vigor gets online with the speed buff, with the defense break, that is his window of opportunity.
He needed the full team stun. He got the full team stun. Resets coming out onto that Ganny. See, Juno obviously getting her pass up, healing up a little bit. The additional turn coming out of Okeanos, putting that Ventilate right back onto that Praha.
Yeah, and Trokamoo may remember that this Juno is on crit damage, so that's why he's thinking about skill 3, where to put it. Decides he wants to eliminate a unit. Always a great choice here. The decision here is, do you go for the kill or do you heal your team? Opts for the safe play, heals the team.
That's right. Oh, but another turn coming out of this Praha to set up to get the full strip. It would wake up this Hathor, though.
Yeah, and I think if I'm Tree, I don't do that. I just kind of say, don't do that, because you don't want to wake up the Hathor. Instead, goes for damage on the Oki, which is a lot of damage.
That is a lot of damage on the Oki, but the defense break Chiwu did not handle that very well. That's an attack buff. Okeanos. Ooh, Vigor might be finishing up Chiwu, and does. We may see that strip now finally come. And it's a terrible strip. We don't get anything except the Fran healing up that Okeanos in favor of Trokamoo very much.
Not much of a strip there at all, and that's pretty massive because that saved him from taking all those dots. At this point, damage is everything here. Trokamoo does have 4 units, and again, once those heals come online a bit more, once he gets a defense break, could be over.
Here's the additional turns coming out of the Hathor, landing the sleep on top of Praha. We may see a skill 2 coming out, getting more sustain out here. Trokamoo looking very strong right now. Goes to the attack bar pushback onto the Ganymede. He's got all his skills up with this Okeanos, not landing a stun on top of the Juno, which works in his favor.
And not landing the stun is giant because Ganymede had skill 3, so that's a whole turn cycle of Juno being able to do damage here, and that Praha being able to wake up at the same time. Trokamoo doing a lot of damage to the Okeanos as the game goes
Going
over.
for skill 3, finishes off that Juno with the Vigor, looking so good for Trokamoo. Trokamoo taking round 3. This man is hyped.
And you saw it in the camera. He started fist pumping. I mean, Tree looks kind of dejected, but again, still smiles. I mean, Tree's always full of smiles here. Trokamoo's pumped there. I mean, you could see during the match as procs went certain ways. Very emotional player. You could see that and in his streams and whatnot. I mean,